Hello everyone and welcome back. I have another personal replay analysis for you. This time WGarrison submitted this one. Let's take a look at the set here. We have really big absorbers with Omega Splitter and Infusion Grid. You don't necessarily need to get Omega Splitter when Infusion Grid is in the set. They're both quite efficient defenders, so you can really do either one, but if your plan is to get 3 Blast Forges, then Omega's a slightly better absorber than Infusion Grid. Just because it's like 10 and 2 blue for 2 more absorb and 3 damage threat, which is well worth it. Manticore seems like a good way to start here. Like, often you would want to start ramping damage with Tarsiers, but Manticore is kind of like a Tarsier replacement in terms of just being really good at a really good attacker to start with, because you can deny absorb. Rezo also seems like a really good unit to be buying as your first attacker. You do have a bunch of red left over, which can be a problem because you're like either like wasting red or buying Tarsiers, which get absorbed. So I think the efficiency of Reservoir might just be good enough to make it worth it, even if red gets wasted. Like it's so insanely good because you can just put out a big burst of damage. Ice Blade, not super relevant here. It can be comboed with Wincer if you're going for like an all-in aggressive strat. Like you can buy Wincer and then 2 Ice Blades a turn and hope to win, I guess. It can be a very good strat, but against Infusion Omega, I don't really see it working that well. And again, like Wincer and Ice Blade are going to have the problem that after you buy a conduit for your Wincer, the conduit isn't going to do anything for the rest of the game, basically. So the Wincer costs exceptionally or restrictively more than it usually would, just because you can add an extra 4 gold to the Wincer cost, which kind of sucks. And Savior is also interesting in this set, actually. If both players are playing greedy, then Savior can work. Like, if we get to Omega Tech and neither player has bought a Wincer yet, I'm imagining Savior could be bought and could work, but it is very risky, so I don't anticipate either player going for it. It's probably just better to do a regular strat and buy Vivid Drones instead. So let's see what happens. Okay, so WGarrison committing to the no savior plan. I'm not that surprised by it. I kind of like his Manticore opening with a Steel Splitter, Steel Forge next turn. And that can transition to Wincer Ice Blade as well. So I don't like this plan whatsoever. It has a lot of issues. So your Steel Splitter is going to do 1 damage, but after that it's going to do nothing. Spiritfire is going to buy a wall, and then you're stuck with another blue next turn, which is going to buy another Steel Splitter, presumably. And in that case, you've bought 2 Steel Splitters that have done nothing. Whereas if you cancelled 1 drone and got a Steel Forge instead, you could buy a Manticore and click it and gain 3 gold, rather than doing nothing, right? Or, yeah, he buys Infusion Grid. Still, like, You don't want to buy Splitter, so you wasted a blue instead of having a Manticore. This is quite a big disadvantage for you. Also, actually, you didn't even need to cancel a drone. You could just buy Steelforge Vivid instead of 2 drones. That would have been very good. Animus, I'm not really sold on. Like, there's not a very clear plan that I can see from here. It seems to just be buy Tarsiers and buy Manticore, I guess. Okay, so Spiritfire is going for the Savior. He sees that you're probably playing this too slow so the Savior can work. I feel like if you wanted to probably take care of this and counter it, you needed to buy Vivid Conduit rather than 2 drones. Because then you could buy a Wincer and start spamming Ice Blades. And that might just do it. That might just win against the Savior. But as it stands, I don't really see you winning from this position. But let's see what happens. So you bought the Manticore earlier, but you could have had it a turn earlier and had 3 more gold. You would lose 1 gold because you bought Vivid instead of 2 drones, but you would gain 2 gold. So I think with the later Manticore you did, you just lost 2 gold from the opening that I was talking about. Anyway, I'm still not really feeling your opening, because now these 2 Tarsiers you bought aren't doing anything. They're going to be absorbed by Infusion Grid, and I assume you're clicking Manticore. So these are like build time 3 Tarsiers, which aren't as good as other things you could have done. Like, you could have done Reservoir, or you could have lined up 2 Tarsiers, or you could have bought Wincer Tarsier and then 2 Tarsiers, and then lined up more damage with like a Steelforge click and Ice Blades, and that would have ramped your damage much more efficiently compared to buying the build time 3 Tarsiers. I do like the Wincer. If you're playing against Savior, you kind of need to do something about it. I think there were better ways of playing it, but the idea is good. Like, I like the idea of going Manticore, and I like the idea of Wincer and Ice Blade. So you're doing all the right things, but I think there were distinct inefficiencies in the opening. Alright, this is working out kind of well for you. Killing off 2 drones. I would actually prefer if you froze Rhino to kill an extra drone. Like, 2 drones and an engineer is worth more than a Rhino. 100%. And that drone could be very important for Spiritfire later, when he's clicking plasmas or whatever. Now, Spiritfire He's clicking plasmas to kill ice blades here. Whatever he needs to defend. Like, the savior player is almost solely concerned with surviving for long enough to win. Looks like Spiritfire is actually in some trouble though. Like, was there anything weird that happened here? Okay, so his Animus last turn was quite bad. Like, buying 2 Rhinos for soak. Not the best plan. The Animus could have been triple NG or maybe another Blast Forge even, like Blast Forge Engineer is the same amount of defense. Although like 4 blue is a bit much, you still have like Infusion Grids and Manticores. And Spiritfire's Omega Splitter has been quite terrible so far. You've just been freezing it every turn, so it's not even getting defense value. This Omega's done like almost nothing other than just provide defense tempo, so he may have made a mistake having bought it. Like, he should be trying to set up turns where he holds Plasma and clicks Omega instead. That would be more efficient. But anyway, let's continue seeing what happens here. The Savior's still pretty strong, but the Windsor still seems like it has a good chance here. Okay. I think here you should have clicked the Windsor. Like, you're killing off a bunch of defense and potentially plasma fires later on. Let's see how much damage you had. Hold on. 24. 9. Okay, you weren't killing any plasmas this turn. At the same time, you seem to be way over-defended with Infusion Grids. Yeah, you've been buying way too much defense here. If you're ever this over-defended, something definitely went wrong. At best, Spiritfire could... Well, he could be clicking plasmas, which is a bit scary. But I don't think this much overcommitment was necessary. Like, these 3 infusions should have just been damage. And at the same time, you're not clicking Steelforge. You should never be wasting 2 blue when you could be clicking Steelforge. Of course, consuming drones isn't the best. Consuming drones isn't the best, but you actually don't have enough supply to get 2 Windsor shots anyway. So the best use of your 4 drones after the 1 Windsor shot would be to click Steelforge. And with that in mind, I take back my statement that you should have clicked Windsor. Wait, what? What happened here? I'm confused. Oh, I was looking at the wrong supply. Sorry. So you can get 2 Windsor shots, but you have 1 drone left over. which you still may as well use to click Steelforge. And then you could also buy Manticore to sell the Steel Splitter that the Steelforge creates. So I think not clicking Steelforge here was a mistake. And also because you have 2 Windsor shots, it's probably best for you to click the Windsor immediately. Because then you have 15 damage a turn earlier. This turn I think it's fine to not click Windsor. Of course you're denying a ton of absorb here, so maybe that's not bad. Oof. Having to build 2 force fields is really painful. I think you really needed the 2 Windsor shots. And I think you may have missed your opportunity. Okay, so what did this Windsor kill? It killed some plasma fires. Ooh, but you still got breached, huh? And it seems there was no great way to avoid this. Yeah. So from this position, you were just losing the game. I think the biggest problem was the opening, but here in the mid game, you definitely overcommitted to defense on some turns. Like this turn specifically, I feel like you could have squeezed in some damage the turn before, and you also could have clicked Steelforge for more damage. But I'll show you what kind of opening I think would be very good here. Okay, so I have a good idea of what Spirit Friar did there. Also, if you weren't committed to Savior, you could have gotten Vivids earlier. Like maybe you even want to do the double Vivid thing. How does that work? Yeah, this would have been very good. So get the 4th Engineer for more Vivids. And then you can do this, which is just pretty insane. Insanely efficient. Spirit Friar, I don't think he committed to this. I think he did this. He didn't buy Omega that early. And now you can get 4 drones, or you can do this. Or even... you could get Animus, but it would be best to buy Animus with Windsor. Spirit Friar, not exactly entirely committed to Savior yet. And this is too few drones for Windsor. So it's probably best just to do this to start. Yeah, Spirit Friar did exactly this. And now you can set up your Windsor. Get another 4 drones. Build up that winter ammo. You're gonna have 3 winter shots, and that should be good enough. I mean, Spiritfire is gonna attack for 4. So maybe the splitter should have been an infusion grid. You can somehow do that. It would be like this. That's kind of bad though. Maybe like this instead. It's not great, but it's better than the other option. Because if you don't do this now, you're never getting an infusion grid. And the splitter doesn't do any damage. So I like it. So something like this looks very strong. Spirit probably has to buy 3 infusions next turn. Maybe buy a Gauss cannon here. So now, remember before when you bought 2 Tarsiers that did no damage? Now you have your Manticore and everything else is lined up. So there's no build time 3 attackers here. This was a better way of doing it. So the Ice Blades are getting there. If we follow that line, what happens if we kill the Ice Blades? And Spiritfire dies, so if Spiritfire plays it the same way, but WGarrison has a more efficient opening, his line just doesn't work, or Spiritfire's Savior line just doesn't work out. Chat saying the Savior timing could have been earlier. Can you actually defend the Windsor if you buy Savior earlier? I guess it's worth looking at. I'm not sure if like Spiritfire would want to stack infusion grids or not. Like, I don't think the Steel Splitter is even any good. Maybe he buys Steel Forge to get Manticore earlier. Seems alright. And it very much looks like Spiritfire's winning. Yep. Like, this amount of damage is not enough. So I guess it was a Savior set after everything is said and done. Of course, you can try earlier Windsor Ice Blade timings. But you can't really rush Windsor that fast, I think. Otherwise you lose to like Infusion Grid spam with Omega Splitter, I imagine. Anyway, I can't sit here all day analyzing every little line, but I think we have a good idea of the two different strategies in the set, and it does seem like the Savior seems to be working a little bit better. The Windsor Ice Blade thing works pretty well against exactly what Spirit Friar did in the original game, but the earlier Savior comes back for the victory. So that was this personal replay analysis. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.